I can read part of the military covenant because I don't think people really understand what it's about. It's been taken up quite strongly now by the Royal British Legion as not being met by the country. It says, soldiers will be called upon to make personal sacrifices, including the ultimate sacrifice in the service of the nation. In putting the needs of the nation and the army before their own, they forgo some of the rights enjoyed by those outside the armed forces. In return, British soldiers must always be able to expect fair treatment, to be valued and respected as individuals, and that they and their families will be sustained and rewarded by commensurate terms and conditions of service. In the same way, the unique nature of the military land operations mean that the Army differs from all other institutions and must be sustained and provided for accordingly by the nation. This mutual obligation forms the military covenant between the nation, the army, and it's not just the army, I should mention, this covenant extends to the Navy and the Air Force, and each individual soldier, an unbreakable common bond of identity, loyalty and responsibility which has sustained the army through its history. Now, the military covenant does not have the force of law behind it, although all it is, it's like a memorandum of understanding, an application that people can use to say, yes, we do care about our forces, we do want them to have the right treatment, but these are just words. As I said, it's not like the Americans' GIs bill, where it's actually went through Congress, through the senators into Congress, and become a bill where a person leaving the services does have constitutional rights after he leaves. The British serviceman doesn't. It just does not exist. Now, one of the things the Royal British Legion wants to do is increase compensation payments for injured personnel. This is all in line with the military covenant, making this real. Extension of the NHS, that's National Health Service priority treatment to all veterans. Better access to veterans' mental health services. Increased funding for the Headley Court Medical Defence Rehabilitation Centre. Maintenance of place on NHS waiting lists for families who have to move as a result of a military deployment. Improved access to social housing for those who have left the armed forces. And this would go a long way if it was part of the package that a soldier could expect when he resettles back into society again. But that doesn't move us away from PTSD. It's got to become recognised as something that at least 1 in 10, according to statistics, person may suffer from as a result of their experiences. That figure goes even higher. Some say as much as 4 or 5, 50% of our services who go into life-threatening situations will at some stage come back and have repeated cyclical traumatic recall of those events which will affect their lives. So the problem is far larger than we probably think. When we look at the likes of combat stress, there's a general mindset that it's something that is government run. Some people don't understand it's a charity. When we talk about the Royal British Legion, whose work often goes unrewarded and unrecognised, people think it's a government institution or something. It's not. It's a charity. All these things come from the goodwill of the British people.
Why isn't this care financed through the defence budget?
Part of it is actually, but it's a very minuscule amount. There is such a thing as the Ministry of Defence, which everybody knows, and part of one of the departments in the Ministry of Defence is the Defence Medical Services. There was a recent newspaper report where the Defence Medical Services funded £140,000 for research studies, and that £140,000 was matched by a charity, Combat Stress. Now, let's put the value in what £140,000 is, or £280,000 is. It's the price of a house. It is not enough.
So, how do you think can society help? What can the street do about this?
Unfortunately, it's asking people to invest in our charities, but not only that, to tell those who govern us that you need to do more. We feel you need to do more because this is the result of not doing enough. In many respects, the United Kingdom falls way behind the research activities that take place in the United States into this condition, and we need to catch up. We need to be more enlightened about this. So the Braveheart programme in particular is one charitable venture who's attempting to do that. But for the longer term, we've got to go back to what I mentioned earlier, and this is military covenant and making that real. And this is where our taxpayers' money is used to invest in our ex-servicemen and service persons to make sure that they're properly catered for. We've already spoken earlier about the amount of servicemen who are homeless, whose lives have been destroyed through this condition and have ended up in prison. This is a cause for wide community and national concern.